He has redefined friendships, redefined youth, redefined relationships, and of course redefined music. Though I hear that he says that he doesn't have a good ear for music. Am I right, Mansoor?
No, it's the what music I like and what I listen to is good.
Yeah, but
Commercial cinema and for films it's a different thing. And my dad had a better ear for that.
I agree. I agree. Nasir Saab, yes, genius, genius. Considering that the music in all his films has been phenomenal. But coming back to that, I mean, the music in all your films from Qayamat Se Qayamat Tak to Jo Jeeta Wohi Sikandar to Akele Hum Akele Tum to Josh, I think that music has also been phenomenal. Wouldn't you all agree with me? Okay, I think he's just getting Arvind back. Yeah, we'll wait for that. Pooja, why don't you tell us something about your experience? How was your experience of working with Mansoor and Amir? I think you were coming from Vishkanya, weren't you?
Yeah, I'd signed Vish Kanya at the time.
Correct.
And I have to say, the way I got Jo Jeeta Wohi Sikandar was very different because they'd already shot, I think, about 60% of the film. And then they decided to reshoot the scenes with me and Deepak, who took over Milan's role, and Aisha, who took over Girija's role. And so I was asked to come for an audition. And in those days, we didn't have mobile phones, right? So, and my dad has taught me to be a stickler.
You were replacing somebody called Karishma.
Yeah.
That's
So, and back then we didn't have mobile phones, and my dad had always taught me be 5 minutes early, don't be 5 minutes late. And went to a military boarding school and all of that. And I looked at the time and I realized I was going to be about 10 minutes late. And I panicked. And I called up Mansoor. In those days, we had those landline phones. And I said, I'm so sorry. I think I'm going to be 10 minutes late. Is it okay if I still come for this audition? And there was this pin drop silence at the other end of the phone. And he says, yes, please come. So I go and I then have this wonderful audition. And I'm doing all my masti as usual. And Mansoor is there watching the audition. Later, Mansoor tells me, he says, about casting me. And he said, the fact that you called me to say you were coming 10 minutes late for the audition, he's saying, you were going to be cast irrespective. He said, because in those days, stars would land up hours late without single apology. People used to multitask for, 10 different movies at the same day. And I don't know what Mansoor must have gone through, and Cornell educated and all of that. That was very proper about everything. And suddenly has this one person who says, I'll be 10 minutes late, is it okay? And, the way I got the film also was quite interesting for me, that was something that really mattered to a director who wanted certain kind of professionalism on the set. Of course, we're damn naughty on the set, Amar especially, we were all young and he used to play these pranks all the time, and we used to play things like hopping go, batting go, and then as soon as he's about to sit, somebody pull a chair from behind you and you'd fall down on the ground and they would be laughing.
Despite that, I made the film.
So Mansoor, she just told us that when she was cast, it was 60% already shot. So was the film shot twice over?
So actually, Pooja has no idea at which point she entered the journey and the story of Jo Jeeta. Of all the films I've made, Jo Jeeta is the only one I would like to write a book about.
Wow.
Because it's a child of destiny and fate. So I had already cast all the characters. Deepak's character, I had taken
Milind
my
Soman,
apologies, Milind Soman. Nagma was the girl to play what Pooja.
Karishma.
Karishma. Nagma was to play then she ditched me 5 days before the outdoor shoot. So I desperately looked and found Karishma. Then somebody else. Deepak had screen tested with Milind. But I told Deepak, sorry, you're a damn good actor, but I'm going to go for the body. Okay? No, I'm not that kind of guy. So, ये सब मेरी गलती है. So we shot 45 days and 15 professional cyclists और 10-15 हमारे junior artist cyclists. ये वो difficult locations and all that.
I believe you shot the climax first.
In the stadium, no. The outdoor part. The stadium, luckily, yeah. But anyway, what is amazing and why I said destiny is that each of these characters, uh, I mean people, had come into
I'm a character, it's okay. On and off screen.
had come in my life while I was casting. So let me just tell you about Pooja. So, हम लोग you might remember because there were three people in my film. So there's an event called there's Amir, Mamik, and Milind. You know, there's an event called triathlon. So we were at Juhu Beach. So it starts with the swimming race, and Milind Soman was a champ. Him, then he comes, hands the baton to Mamik. Mamik has to run, and the last round was Amir because he's the hero and he's going to cycle in the film. Yo. Anyway, so I was walking with my costume designer, Ashley Ribello. And Ashley says, "That's your Devika." He pointed backwards. See, I've got eyes at the back of my head for pretty girls. So I said, I know, but I've already cast that other girl. Now, you know, I don't know. Maybe you look like unapproachable or something. And so I didn't think of it then. And then we came back. I was a mess. After 45 days of shooting, I was a nervous wreck. It was so bad that over there while shooting, I used to get up in the middle of the night and cry. Cry meaning that helpless crying, not sad crying. We came back.
But what was so bad that you were helpless crying?
He was not happy with what he had shot.
I was not happy with what I shot. Now I don't know whether I shoot the same way, but the characters were not casting wise. I went wrong. So one is the nature of the character fitting, but really they were shameless. They were all except Karishma. वो 8 of them we had to sack. And I was sitting when we came back to the office, we saw the trial. My dad is worried, yaar. Pata nahi, maybe I made a mistake. He made one successful film, so I thought he can make another one. And
But
Amir
when you
was,
say shameless, Mansoor, what do you mean? Like,
I mean, they didn't respect the project. They didn't respect the process of filmmaking. They didn't respect the director. You know, they were in their party mode. Yeah, वो सारे राजपूत के लड़के थे. वो अपने कैरेक्टर में सही थे, लेकिन फिल्म के लिए बेकार थे. So when we came back and I'm sitting, I'm depressed. My dad is looking worried. Ke, where am I going to get finance from? Amir was the guy, and I still give him the credit. He said, "See, Mansoor, I didn't know where to go. I didn't know what to do next." He said, Mansoor, see, you have written a timeless script, which I didn't believe at that time, especially in that state. He said, you've written a timeless script. We will change the cast. Whatever it takes. Throw out all these guys and we'll shoot again. So my dad, though,
Which was not a norm back then.
I mean,
Yeah,
what can he say?
absolutely not.
I mean, at least film to banegi to. Abhi to band ho jayegi because I couldn't shoot beyond that. And that's Amir's contribution to the. Otherwise, Jo Jeeta would not have been made.
Mansoor, quick question. You think it had something to do with your first film being such a big hit?
No, I was trying to be, too radical, and I was forgetting the principles of casting. So, I wanted not the obvious, and I wanted the perfect body for this. And let me tell you, the role that you got, I was casting Nagma in that. Okay, you've heard of Nagma, right? She's a big heroine in the South, but at that time she was not established. And I called her and I didn't bluff her. I told her, Nagma, there are two girls, and there's a hero, and you're the other girl. And I'm screen testing you for that girl. So she said, okay. So she did that part, Devika's part. And I said, great, very good. She said, can I try for the other role, the heroine's role? So I told her, look, Nagma, you're a pretty girl. You're a beautiful girl. You can definitely play the heroine, but that's not the character. I'm sorry, I said it's very difficult to cast for Devika's role. And you have a particular quality because Devika is not a vamp. She's not the bad one. She's the one who, she's pretty.
I got lied to. Dhoka.
तब तक तो I was desperate, yeah. तो anyway, तो ऐसी बात है, you know, and she left the film. So, and then in the second round, all those people who had actually come in my life, I had seen Pooja on the beach. Aisha Julka had walked into my office way before I had finished the script. My dad calls me in his room and says, Mansoor, yes, ladki se milo. She wants to join films. So I looked at her. Yeah, she's a pretty girl. But I had not finished the script. So I couldn't say कि हाँ यही होना चाहिए नहीं. So I said, yeah, good. I told Aisha, please leave a photograph in the office. And she didn't leave it. So when the casting time came, when my heroine was also dropped, now I'm searching for a heroine, I'm searching for the other girl. Suddenly out of the blue,
Were you supposed to repeat Juhi for this?
no,
No.
no. No. Juhi wouldn't have been.
Okay, there was a rumor that
she's-
Juhi was
no,
the
no.
original choice.
Juhi is gloriously beautiful. Yeah. अभी अजीब लगता है यार कि
Girl next
the
door.
girl next door should be pretty, beautiful, charming, warm.
But simple.
But and she shouldn't compete with Devika. You know what I mean? No, you would have won. But
Juhi and me did a film later, Lutere.
oh, not later. I kept hearing Lutere. It's not like this in
I
Lutere
love
set.
Nasir. Nasir loves Juhi. Juhi loves Sunny. You know, it was one of
सब
those.
लुटेरे हैं. So suddenly the phone rings in the office. Guy calls me and says, somebody wants to speak to you. I answer. And this is girl. She says, Mansoor, you may remember me. I had come and met you. I said, she said, I had come with my father. He's a pilot. Thak. It fell into place. So before she could say anything, I said, what are you doing there? Come here. You know what I mean? तो इट वॉज फेट. वो नहीं फोन करती तो क्या होता? अगर पूजा को वो बीच में नहीं देखा होता और यू नो and Deepak had screen tested. I had told Deepak, I'm sorry, you're a damn good actor, but I'm going for the body, you know.
And I believe
I did one scene with Milind. One scene with Milind, he was still there. Look at his eyes, how wide aura. And on the one where we've gone up to that scandal point, and I see him kissing the girl, and then I get into the car with Amar, and Milind comes running down the thing saying, Devika, Devika, Devika. So that scene was done with Milind, and then after that he was gone.
And I believe Mamik was brought by Farah.
Yeah, Mamik was Farah had come to me to be a
Farah Khan.
choreographer.
Just,
Yes.
So she came, she said, I'm a choreographer, and I said, what films have you done? She said, I haven't done film, I want to display my show reel. So I said, see, I'm sorry, but I had already spoken to
Saroj Khan.
Sarojji. So I said, sorry, I've given my word, so you cannot do that. But anyway, I'll see your show reel. I went home, saw the show reel. It was good. Synchronized aerobic kind of dancing. But after that, some rubbish started. But that was damn funny. Yeah. Her brother Sajid and his loony friends were doing impromptu comedy. And so the next day when Farah came, she said, how did you like it? I said, who are those guys? Arey, that's my mad brother. Yeah. So anyway, so I at least let her begin. See, this is all fate. So I said, you can't choreograph, but you can join me as an assistant. और जब हम लोग कोडाईकनाल पहुँचे और पहले दिन हम लोग शूट कर रहे हैं यहाँ के हम सिकंदर, इन सरोजी बैठी हैं क्योंकि तीन लड़के और एक लड़की साइकिल पे जा रहे हैं, वो क्या कोरियोग्राफी करें, तो बैठी हैं और हम लोगों ने रिक शॉट लगाया है कार के पीछे और वो भी बहुत ख़राब. The car would bounce so much that on screen it would be यहाँ के हम सिकंदर, they go out of frame, यहाँ they go out of frame this way. It was like that bad. So I'm saying many faults, But by the end of the day, Saroj had it. So she came up to me and said, "I'm sorry, Mansoor, you know, Madhuri's brother's getting married. So I can't miss his wedding." And by then I realized that she's a fabulous choreographer, but her genre is different. So I was wrong, you know. So I let go easily. She said, "Don't worry, my assistants are here." I was thinking I'm going to send them back on the next plane because they're all from the same. And that evening I called Farah to my room. I said, "Farah, you're choreographing it." So
Wow.
this is destiny.
And tell us a bit about Pehla Nasha, since we are speaking about Farah.
So Pehla Nasha
How
was
difficult was it, and how much
no, nothing.
to
The
shoot it in
difficult-
slow motion and stuff?
No. The difficulty was for the actors because they had to mime it twice. So for me, it was simple. I visualized the song, and everybody thinks we did some technical magic. You know, no technical magic here. उस ज़माने में कैमरा या तो 24 frames per second चलता था या 48 frames. If you want slow mo dishoom, then you put 48, and if you go back to normal. So when I heard the tune, when Lalit sounded me the tune, it gave me the feeling that Sanju is Devika has kissed him, told him
That she loves it.
that she loves him, even if he doesn't love her, she'll never forget him. That kind of stuff he didn't imagine would happen. He was just playing a prank.
Yeah, she gives him the ring, I
So
think.
when he comes, he's floating on cloud 9. This was the visual effect that I wanted. And from that floating on cloud 9, I said, why not shoot it in slow motion? I never thought of it. See, in Hindi movies, there are lots of slow motion. वो normal गाना गाएंगे और music piece पे वो slow motion में भागेंगे. So that's ridiculous, you know. So that's how it was. It was
And-
already conceived.
And I believe Pooja, Farah gave you that step, and
There was no step.
exactly. So she's
You know,
written somewhere that since you were not a great, fabulous.
Firstly, I've always said, I'm really not a great actor, and I distracted people very well with my cleavage or with my dress flying. They didn't bother to look at the face; they were too busy looking at other things, etc.
Oh, how honest.
honest.
Oh.
I was nominated for Best Supporting Actress.
You were.
so-
I know. It had 8 nominations that year.
Yeah,
I
so
think did it? No, Kayamat se Kayamat tak
Supporting
had 8.
actor or supported actor?
both.
By your-
But the Pehla Nasha song was epic for me because they wanted me to wear this red dress and get onto this car and have the thing blow. And no matter how hard we tried, the bloody dress wouldn't blow. And every time, and I was standing there waiting on the car and waiting, and the big, huge fan was put at the bottom. And the guy would start the fan, and I'd be waiting with my hands here, nothing. And suddenly, the back of my dress would go flying above my head. And I'd be like, what the hell, And there used to be like spot boys and all standing behind. And Farah, in one of her interviews recently, jokingly has said, that's the first time in my life I've seen a red thong, because.
I don't remember the color.
So you were in front, you were not behind Mansoor. So the spot boy was. So the one she claimed fainted. So
Mansoor is saying this is not right.
So we were waiting. And every time I'd say, it's not happening. And the moment I'd say it's not happening, my hands would go, the dress would fly. And we'd put the thing down. It was quite dramatic. And we'd be like,
Either
it's
trap
just,
her,
yeah,
it would stick to her legs,
Or it would
if
just-
the wind came the other way, it would just
fly the other way. And the shot that you see on screen is the only usable shot that we got out of the entire sequence.
No.
That was the only usable shot.
So there's more to the story.
Oh.
There's more to the story, and that's amazing. So that day, या तो पूरा ऊपर चले जाता है या चिपक जाता है. So I said, यार कुछ और करना पड़ेगा. Let's forget this shot. So cut it. And I went back home. When the rushes came, I was watching all. I said, shit. एक जगह पे मैंने एक्चुअली कैमरा कट कर दिया था और गलती से वो and luckily Pooja gave the correct expression. It's a gorgeous shot.
Thank you.
So it was a totally spontaneous shot.
She
But I
looked
tell you, that
gorgeous in the
song
film.
has done something because every time, and it's 33 years to date now, and every single time that I walk into any event, any function, anything. This is the song that will play as the anthem song as I walk onto stage, I walk into a hall, I walk into a party. It's like an anthem song for me, and I can't thank you enough for that, Mansoor, because the way that the song was shot, the way it was picturized, and just how you brought everything not just to life, but larger than life in every possible way, despite keeping it so grounded and earthy and teenager and fun. And, despite all of those limitations, to have something so much larger than life that really struck chords with every single person who watched it till date. I have people who watched it like more than 20, 30 times each, who've come up to me at different events and different places, and talked about how the movie has just shaped them or impacted them and given them that spirit of I can do it, I can do it, I can do it. And also that it's just such an easy film to watch, that they can watch it with their families, they can watch it with their kids, they can just watch it on repeat. It's just such a happy film. Such a good film.
So everything turned out well in the end.
Yeah.
But it it was a grueling journey.
Mansoor, was Model and Rajput and all that schools that you put in the film, were they inspired from any personal event or schooling that you did?
No. So basically, one thing was inspired from a schooling event. Because the premise of the film is not cycling. Cycle is the medium. The premise of the film is a loser, a waster,
Coming of
learns
age, yeah.
the hard way to be responsible and win. So it's the thing is not that he won. The thing is he became responsible and hardworking. That's more important.
So that's a personal journey.
Yeah, and so there are two things. One is that stadium, which none of you have seen. Just if you see the film, you see the stadium. That was one of its kind in the whole of India. Because it had a racetrack, and that's where our school sports used to take place. So and we had that. कि पहले races होती हैं.
Which school was this?
Bombay Scottish.
Okay.
And that was at Worli. It was NSCI stadium. It was. So since I got into QSQT, I was worried कि यार क्योंकि उस वक्त एक court case चल रहा था between NSCI and the Maharashtra government. So I said, if whichever side wins, if Maharashtra government wins, they'll make it into something else. So luckily it lasted long enough. That's one thing. So it was inspired from that stadium and our sports events, and there was a cyclist. And cycling was the most exciting event. It was the second last event. We had a cyclist who was actually national champion. And it was not a question of who's going to win because he's going to be 8 laps ahead of everybody else. But it was a treat to see his style, तो वो दोनों चीजें थी. So see, Amir could have become responsible by playing chess.
Which he did.
Yeah, but how interesting. Or it could be football, but then it's not a solo thing. Or it could be boxing, which is solo, but it's too much in one place. So cycling came into my mind from that. And then I must clarify one thing. Everybody says that this is a remake of Breaking Away.
That's right.
That is totally wrong.
It's a different film.
It's a different film.
I think it was largely
the only
influenced
thing- I
by the
think
Archie comics. I mean, the
even-
characters were so
that, I
Archies,
think just, yeah,
with
Veronica,
Amir
Archie
playing
maybe,
Archie
yeah,
and,
but
my
that's
character
it.
being Philip
And
Veronica.
Red-
Everybody refers to
Yeah,
it as
and
that all the
Deepak
time.
playing,
And that's
Reggie.
Reggie, yeah,
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah, but that's also that's
Very
that's,
loose,
That's
very
a,
loose.
Yeah, that's a very loose. Yeah.
But I have to say, I was really upset because everybody else got to go on these great outdoors. If you see, so much of it is shot in Ooty and everything's shot in the outdoors. And I entered, of course, 60% of the film was shot. So they decided to create the entire mall in Film City. So all I saw was Film City. Okay, all those lovely things you saw, all those lovely visuals and
Mall
frames,
Road.
all was constructed in Film City.
You had so much fun.
And only once I got to go to Bangalore when I Thapad ka beta ye mera ghar hai, that big palace, Bangalore Palace. One day, one night, that's it. That's all I saw of an outdoor schedule. And I was craving, you hear about film shoots, you hear about the outdoor schedules and how amazing these outdoor shoots are. I just got one day in Bangalore and half a day up in Lonavala, Khandala, in that fort where Amir kisses me.
Interval point.
Interval point, yeah. So just like half a day, literally go in the morning, come back at night.
Okay.
It was very bold of you to have a lip-to-lip kiss back then on screen.
It was.
What?
A
very
lip-to-lip
bold, yeah.
kiss back then on screen in those days.
1992, yeah.
No. So I'll tell you what. The credit goes to you. honestly, yeah. मतलब, I never
I
even,
didn't say no, bring the rose in front.
yeah. Or the cheating, You go like behind and he's
Behind
the
the
poor
pillar.
guy and you're spitting in his ear. No, no, no. I've done that also. But actually, I faced this situation in QSQT where there's a lip-to-lip connect, not a passionate one, but just a peck. Yeah. So when we were shooting on that pahadi, मतलब गर्मी में पत्थर वत्थर, my assistant comes and says, Jui ma'am is saying she's not going to do the kiss. So I said, Acha, okay, let's all sit down. Yeah, whole unit sitting down. We're waiting. 15 minutes, I don't know, 20 minutes. He comes back. No, she'll do it. Because if she came and spoke to me, I would say, hey, for heaven's sake, yeah. You know, we are not, I mean, there's no exploitation of you anywhere else. And when I'm showing a peck on lip to lip,
It was the most
they
innocent.
were about comfortable. She used to
Love, yeah.
suggest it quite often.
One more question, Mansoor, to you. You think because you spent so much money on the film, Nasir Saab's last film as a producer, this was? I know that's a personal question, but
No, that's too funny.
Not directly, but, but I'll tell you, I felt that we shouldn't take. I told my dad. My dad didn't say, "Any yeah, but I wasted on you." Yeah. I told him that look, we should not do production. It's too much of a headache, and we are not great salesmen. Also, we always you won't believe the kind of
creative
prices we've
people.
sold
Yeah.
QSQT at, and the music of QSQT. Come on,
Phenomenal music.
first prize. I'll give you something special. Can you guess what price the music of QSQT was sold?
2 lakhs.
Super.
Wow.
It was 2.5.
Not bad.
I mean, you thinking about it, yeah. Because
And at that time,
at
it
that
was in
time the record
perpetual anyway.
companies were doing you a favor by taking the music. So, anyways, I said I don't want to go through all this. I'll I'll get the director's fees and I'll let him take the headache. Because of Jo Jeeta, you won't believe the kind of things I've done here. Because the production was not that savvy and cool. The
But
assistants,
Mansoor, you came from Cornell. You had a certain way of functioning and style. I worked at different production units, right? And I know how chaotic certain units are, and how it's a guest appearance, because I was doing Jo Jeeta with him, and Sonam was getting married suddenly out of the blue, so they need to replace a character. So he said, Pooja, please do Atank is a guest appearance, Dacoit's daughter, and that set worked completely differently, and. It had a whole different style of working compared to Mansoor, who was so chill and very cool and very urban on his sets. And the way they treat you on Mansoor's set, the way they treat you on other sets, it's a whole different ballgame. Mahesh Bhatt's sets were different. So I mean, it's I have to say that you're it's like what you lent to the environment and what you expected from an industry that's been working on other sets is different.
thank you. Now this inspires a particular episode. Did you guess?
No,
You haven't guessed.
do I want to know?
Yeah.
I do. Okay.
So the shot was that Pooja and her friend, a newly made friend, come out of the bus for the first time in Mall Road. And as they're walking, the friend is trying to educate her on what kind of place. Those boys, those are models. Don't look at them. All that. So वो shot था. But something else added to my tension. My cameraman had suddenly left. So I was operating the camera. और ऊपर से Pooja was in a party mood. She was laughing and this, and if I corrected her, she would laugh and crack a joke at me and ये वो. तो बहुत हो गया. तो I said, see Pooja.
You got so angry.
Yeah.
I remember
So
you
I went
threw
up
fit
to her,
on
I said,
set.
look,
Yeah.
you get serious, okay? And still, she poked me in my stomach. Hey, come on.
I was 20.
Hey, तो मैंने बोला pack up. I'm going home. And
Yeah, I
she
was like,
went
Mansoor,
crying
don't be so
home.
grumpy, don't be so grumpy. I poked him like that, and he was like, "Back up, we're going home." I was like, what happened?
When I reached the office, my poor dad is sitting there. कि क्या हो गया? So I walked in. I said, what happened? I said, this girl, she's not professional at all. And I can't. She said, what did she do? I said, she poked me in my stomach like this. My dad said, I wouldn't mind that.
Okay, to
But then we became friends. I don't know how.
excellent. I think we should
Film above all.
yeah, we should wind up this and let people watch the film. And last question: what if you had to revisit Jo Jeeta, remake it, or do a sequel? Would you want to do that?
No, I won't say that. Sequel is impossible.
Yeah, it
I
is
think
impossible.
that's a very interesting thought. Actually, think about it. Okay, 30 years later, okay, who is married, who is divorced, and the kids meet at an
Ramlal Cafe.
no, no, they meet at an inter-college and maybe like a reality show setup. It's modern days now, okay, and it sets up a reality show, or perhaps in some massive Olympics. Maybe they're going for the Olympics or something like that, and everyone's kids are now pitted against each other. But what is the backstory of each of the parents now, and what has been happening there? What are the dynamics between those and the dynamics between the? It actually might be very interesting, Mansoor.
good,
Think
very
about
good.
it.
We'll work on it.
See.
Mansoor is going to write a book on that first.
So I just want to share one thing. In Jo Jeeta, I mean, there are some scenes I feel I could have done better, some lip worse. That always happens. But there was one scene which, at that time, or even now, would be radical. And that scene, I had written it my way. Because Sanjay Lal, he's a shameless guy. He's like Amir. He's got a sweet face, but he's a rogue. You know, अपने वो बदमाशी में अपने good looks से वो it takes you for a ride. So,
That's not true. He's a sweetheart.
oh,
Yeah.
अच्छा.
You recommended her for Atanki Atank.
I know.
तो उसका ग्राफ ऐसे जा रहा है और वो चेंज होता है एक पॉइंट पे. So there's this very important scene when Pooja and Deepak come to the cafe after she's found out that this guy is a model. He told her a lie. And there's this whole scene and they both are pulling his leg and, you know, giving it to him back. And he smashes the things. I'm just telling that's not the scene. And he walks out. Now it's night time. You tilt from the cafe. All the young kids are dancing. Music is playing. And in that gazebo, Amir is sitting and
Sitting all alone, yeah.
still fuming and about the insult. And luckily, I mean, coincidentally, Deepak and Pooja come there. Deepak says, hold on, I'll just go in. And he gets a chance to talk to her. Now I'm talking about that scene. So I had written that when he sees her, he comes, she turns around and she's shocked that he's standing there. His tone is only demeaning. वो टुच्चापन पे और जितना वो डिमीन करने की कोशिश कर रहा है इस लड़की पे असर नहीं हो रहा है बिकॉज शी नोज आई डिडंट डू रॉन्ग यू डिड रॉन्ग आप कुछ भी बोलो ओह सो आई वाज थापड़ सन आई वाज ओके नाउ आई एम दिस द टोन इज डिफरेंट एंड when she shrugs it off he steps even lower. He's trying to scratch her mentally. वो टोन था. तो आमिर और my dad and आमिर मुझसे नहीं आया ऐसा नहीं. Normally Amir is on my side, you know.
Radical. This
But
is
by
more
then-
today. The scene is more today.
By then Dil had released and he had become but he had worked with Indu Irani, so he became filmy. So Indu, wherever you are. So they both rejected it. So the very first when you turn around, his very first dialogue, his stance. Now you've gone into the I'm the hero. तुमने तो कहा था ये वो. You get what I mean? So that is like you're already conveying with that mannerism that he's right. You're trying to convince that's wrong. And that's why that scene, if it was shot correctly,
It would have been a
it would
beautiful
change
scene.
all the scenes after that. What you perceived of all the scenes after that, you would perceive differently.
I actually really like the scene. I thought it was an
beautiful as
amazing
it is,
scene.
but
You know, even
but
that
this is
moment where
right.
he turned around and
amazing.
gave one
It would-
tight
it-
slap, you know, it
No,
was just,
no,
it
it
was
would end
really
with a
good.
slap. It would end with the same thing. You're
Yeah.
nothing but a bloody gold digger. Thar.
Yeah. It was a good shot. It
अरे
was a
पर
great
मैं
scene.
वो कब चेंज कर रहा हूँ यार?
Yeah.
वो सीन आमिर का मैनरिज्म हीरोइक नहीं होता, सेल्फ वो नहीं होता,
उसका स्टांस फिल्म में
उसका
अलग होता है।
स्टांस आपको लगता कि ये आदमी अभी तो बहुत ही इज ट्राइंग टू बी व्हाट शैल आई से वेरी नोबल, दैट नोबिलिटी वुड नॉट बी देयर, दैट्स इन द एक्टिंग, इट्स इन द डायलॉग्स, यू नो, एंड आई हैड रिटन इट डिफरेंट,
संजय लाल
सो यू
शर्मा
कुड
की
सी दैट एक्चुअली ये लड़का जो है ना, ही इज डेस्परेटली ट्राइंग टू this thing, but is not having an effect. And the more she rejects him, the more, like she turns around and goes, he comes in front and he says something more nasty. So he is being nasty. Actually, that sums it up. Yes. Nasty is a correct word. Tucha is a better word.
Okay, sorry.
No, she wrote that line, yeah. Or at least she translated it for me. Guys, you
It
enjoy
was
the
such
film?
fun, guys. It was such fun, and I really hope you enjoy reliving it after 33 years, because I tell you, I saw it a couple of days back in the theater with my kids, and they were in peals of laughter, you know, and they were just looking at the screen and watching their mother. And I said, you know, I was just 20, 21 when I was shooting that film, and you know, it's so amazing. I mean, for me, because I got out of films at 24. So for me to see myself back up there after almost 30, 33 years was amazing as an experience, to see, you know, all those visuals come to life, to see yourself on full screen. It was a total high for me, and so emotional, because the film was so gripping and so moving till the end yet again for me. You know, and also for my daughter, my son, and my fiance Manik, who's here. So all of them were watching it till the end, and they were hooked. And it's that kind of film, Mansoor. You know, it's just an iconic film,
I call it-
and that song has
I call it the
immortalized.
baby of destiny.
It is. It is.
I
The
call
baby
it-
of destiny,
It is.
and it certainly
it's
shaped a
still
lot in
gaining-
my destiny.
Yeah,
It certainly did.
It's still gaining cult status anyway. Also, one more thing. Both your daughters are now acting.
No, I have one daughter.
You have one daughter, her daughter.
Oh.
also. Her daughter is also acting.
One daughter.
Correct. So
One
your one
daughter's
daughter
acting.
and his one daughter,
Yes.
both
Our
the
daughters
daughters. No, no. No, they're not the same.
लड़की नहीं है.
Oh, she just spoke to you in the stomach.
The maternity can never be questioned.
Okay, so any plans of coming back as a director?
Oh, very selfish, very selfish. Which actor says he's a bad actor? I. अच्छा एक मिनट हम लोग बाद में बाहर बात. अरे super. We'll have
God
a deep
bless,
discussion
God bless.
outside. ये session इतना interesting है, let's cancel the film.
No. But you know, the amazing thing is Mansoor
But
just
I'm
chucked
just
up
joking,
cinema
yeah.
and went off to Kannur to start his most amazing farming practices. And you have to,
He's written
and about
two
10,
books,
yeah, and about 10 years ago, Mansoor came for the Tehelka festival and did this whole big presentation on how our resources were going
What
to run
Tehelka?
out. The Think Fest.
Think Fest.
Think Fest. That was part of the Tehelka.
2013.
It was part of the Tehelka group's thing, Think Fest. And yeah, Tarun Tejpal and all of them. And he came there and he did a huge presentation on the stage based on how resources, natural resources, were going to be depleted. And when they got depleted, what would happen to consumerism, what would happen to production, what would happen to the economy, and et cetera, et cetera. And I was just fascinated. And as I went through, where have you been? He's like, farming, you know, growing vegetables and crops and
So one last
whatnot.
one. Yeah, but I was very pleased to see you, and I saw the serious side of you, and that you actually understood what I was saying. One last one.
As a director, I want to ask you one thing. I just attended this very interesting conclave in Delhi, the AI conclave, Synapse. You must watch it on YouTube. And one of the sessions that was there was about AI in cinema, and how a lot of what is currently seen in cinema will be redundant. You will be able to have technicians and I mean, technicians won't be really necessary anymore. You could create a character, a fictitious character, an existing character, and create an entire movie, create a script. There's so much that AI can now do, and technology is advancing at the pace it is. So what do you feel, Mansoor? It was quite an interesting session that we had there, and
I won't answer that here.
No, but
Because you want to know what I
yeah,
think?
because as a director, because I on stage for this particular thing
Guys,
was
don't run
Nikhil
away.
Advani, Aditya Motwane, and Anurag Kashyap. And they were just like, no, we need our sets, we need our people. But the fact is, AI will come in, and movies will be made, and jobs will be lost. Already script writers are feeling it. So, what do you think will be the role of actors or directors or units for
I'm
that matter in
relieved.
the future? Oh, you'd be surprised. It's amazing. We can have our heads in the ground like ostriches, or actually acknowledge what is going to happen and prepare for it and see what can we do differently. You can use a person's voice, you can use a person's image, and you can generate absolutely lifelike things. And this is today. Can you imagine 5 years down the line where technology will be
Okay,
at?
I think we
It's
need
amazing.
to
So yeah.
move on and let them
no,
watch the
she
film.
just met Elon Musk last week. So,
No, Elon Musk has said there'll be 10 billion robots by 2040. I thought that's amazing.
yeah. So,
Can we
I
have
will not
that?
be able to answer
Yeah,
your
can
question.
we have
This is
that
the end of this.
question and answer outside for the AI, please?
I just want to say you will
Sorry.
get your answer
Devika's talking AI now.
from this book.
Devika doesn't need to
Okay?
let the
If I
skirt
give you
fly.
the answer right
AI
now,
will do it.
Alright, where do you
You
want
will not
Devika to sit?
understand what I'm saying. Okay? So, guys,
I don't know. Where do I
I'm a
want to sit?
struggling
Oh.
writer.
Okay, it's called Mansoor Khan 1. What's it about
minute,
it in a nutshell? In a nutshell.
Take two.
Take two. All right. So here's Mansoor's amazing book, and it's called One. Mansoor, what's it about in 2 sentences?
I'll ask you a question. We've got climate change, this, that, rivers drying, forests gone, species. Who is responsible for this? Come on. Us, humans, wrong.
Wrong. Yeah.
Humans, you're partly right, but mostly wrong.
No.
Humans is a species that has 5,000 cultures. Are the Adivasis doing it? The Native Americans, Eskimos, Pygmies, Yanomami, Saki, Sentinelese. There are 5,000 who we call backward. Indigenous, tribal. There's only one culture, civilization. So this book is about that. But I'm not, this book is not only about saying, oh, it's civilization's fault. It's not a fault, a blame throwing book. It's a reality check book. And I explain, the interesting part is to realize how civilization unknowingly is causing this.
But you know something, Mansoor, I have a slight, I mean, if I may just take another minute, I have a slightly different take on this. I think actually global warming is a hoax because the timelines given, the statistics given are in a particular time frame. If you take a different time frame, we've actually had global cooling, right? So the narrative is spun giving a time frame that supports the concept of global warming. That's one. Number two, species have been coming and going and becoming extinct for centuries and centuries and centuries before mankind, from the dinosaurs to various other species that have come and gone, come and gone, come and gone. And I'm sure mankind will also come and go in its own space. I think we need to see it as a process of evolution, and certain birds and butterflies in certain parts of the different continents come and they go. It's a very evolutionary process more than anything else. And I see things a bit different, but I'd love to read your book to get another perspective.
Guys, enjoy the movie.